Oh goodness. It's been tough. I'm quite a young sprint kayaker, and we have quite an older team, and so this past year was obviously the Olympic year, and it's like we call it like the Olympic cycle. So the cycle started back in 2016, like directly after the Olympics. And so they searched for not new talent, but up and coming talent. And at that point, I was too young. Um, and so coming into the cycle, I was not really supposed to be close to making the Olympics at all. And then coming into COVID, that was obviously insane. And so this past year has honestly just been a whirlwind. Like, the pandemic brought us, we usually go to Florida for training, and it brought us to British Columbia and Shawnigan Lake and Odin, Victoria. And we paddled in snow, we paddled in hail, we paddled in freezing rain, like anything that you can imagine, we did. And so, yeah, it was everything I expected and nothing that I expected all in one, just because the pandemic brought a lot of uncertainty into a lot of people's lives, especially athletes, because we really had no idea if we were going to be able to train one day to the next. And so it was pretty much just, let's go somewhere that we are safe. And that ended up being in British Columbia. And yeah. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing I did struggle with. I had like my highest high and my lowest low. Like I was third at Olympic trials. I had just missed like I was one more spot and I would have been going to the Olympics. And so mentally I was like, oh my God, like how do I keep doing this? Especially when for so long I thought that my my value was in a result. And so mentally I was on the floor at one point in one day, and then the next day I had to pick myself up and realize that I had more left to do. And I ended up being selected to go to the last chance qualifier in Russia, and I ended up being third there and just missing the Olympic qualifying spot by one that I would have had to give to a teammate. I wouldn't have even gotten to go. So yeah, mentally, I would say it's been, like I said, like I've had my highest high and my lowest low. Um, but talking to you now, I can definitely say I've come out on the end of it. I'm in a really good place right now. I'm taking 3 weeks off, and I'm just enjoying being a 22-year-old adult, I guess. And yeah. I was actually a gymnast. I was a competitive gymnast. Um, and I thought that that's what I was going to go to the Olympics for, because that was the dream. And then I ended up having an accident on floor where I hyperextended my back, and a few of my vertebrates went like out of place or out of line, and actually got pretty scared from that. And I saw someone break their arm, and I saw some other things, and I think I just realized that it wasn't for me as much as I wanted it to be. Um, and then I ended up going to competitive swimming. I was a swimmer, and I did not like that. I did not like swimming laps and staring at the bottom of a pool for hours on end. And I honestly appreciate anyone who does it, because I can't. And so I always did paddle. From the age of like 5 or 6, my mom had us just like in recreational paddling. And then after swimming, I just said like, okay, like I'm gonna start taking paddling seriously. And yeah, that's pretty much that. It was hard. I remember it being quite difficult because they're definitely not the same thing. And you had to be swimming was like, okay, you show up and you swim laps, whereas paddling, I found it a lot more intensive. And on the water, you are full in, the coach is right next to you, you can't get out of hard work, you can't get out of anything. And so, yeah, the transition itself was really tough, but also really rewarding because I think it made me, when you work harder, just in the sense of like, I don't think I realized how much I wasn't working hard in swimming or in gymnastics until I got to paddling, and I was like, oh shit, okay, like this is different. Like this is up there. So yeah. Probably not making the 2018 World Championships. I was fresh out of my Junior Worlds year. I was 7th at Junior Worlds, and I was ready to be the next girl at the under 23 world level in Canada. And I went to the trials and I was like 5th with the senior girls and everything. And then they didn't take me. And that was like so appalling to me because I was like, well, wait, like I'm the fastest girl. Like I don't really understand why. And so that was really hard for me to like accept and to overcome because I knew I was the fastest, and then another girl was going that I beat. And there was so much politics, and I think that honestly the politics in the sport have been the hardest thing for me. And I would say it's more just mental roadblocks. I haven't really had any physical injuries that have taken me out or have given me setbacks, more just like normal reoccurring injuries that you get from paddling hundreds of hours. But yeah, I would say mentally, it's probably the biggest roadblock was when I was in 2018. I didn't make the team, and it just made me realize like, okay, you just need to work harder. You need to make sure that they have no reason not to take you next time. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough. But I would say I have a pretty strong work ethic, and I'm really motivated to finish school. I'm in my 5th year at St. Mary's. I'm doing a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, and it's been hard because there's been times where I haven't been able to take a class that I need to take for my degree, and St. Mary's is like, no, you can't do that because you're away. And I'm like, but please let me take it. And yeah, it's definitely difficult, and managing like time management is huge. I have an agenda, I have a journal that I'm just always journaling in. I think that all athletes should have one if they don't. Just manage time, and yeah, like I really just like plan my days. Practices are in the morning and in the evening, so middle of the day I'm usually doing school. If not, I'm running around in the weight room, running, doing something. um, but yeah, it's definitely not easy. But I pride myself with being able to manage my time well and being able to take online classes. Like this pandemic, it's kind of been a blessing in disguise just because I've been able to take a lot of online classes that I wouldn't have been able to take without the pandemic. So that's kind of gotten me a bit ahead in my degree, and hopefully I'll finish next year. That's the plan. And yeah. That's a good question. I mean, the national team has dietitians that we work with weekly on like a weekly basis. They're always checking in, making sure that we're good, but it's more just eating healthy. Like there are some dietitians that I've worked with, and they are very, very like on your case, asking for a weekly journal, like daily logs of what did you eat, how many macros, all this stuff. And it's like, it's time consuming, and it's, in my opinion, can get quite unhealthy, and can become a source of like just bad vibes and thoughts around food. And I've never really had that and never wanted to have that. And so the dietitian that I'm working with now, she's amazing. She works with the entire team, and she does weekly check-ins, but she's more just asking like, how are you feeling? What made you happy that you ate this week? She prides herself on letting us have treats, and obviously, like a month or two out from competition, we're stricter. We're getting more messages from her, just making sure, like, okay, are you getting the right electrolytes, like daily, water, everything. But yeah, I definitely pride myself on not having strict eating habits and enjoying life and enjoying food. So yeah. My opinion, or in my case, actually, no. My favorite event is definitely my best event. I'm a sprinter, a 200-meter athlete, and I absolutely love it. And I've been good at it ever since I can remember. I remember a coach come up to me being like, "You are a sprinter," and me just being like, "Yes, I am." Like, I know it. And that's interesting because it's actually getting taken out of the Olympics. So I'm having to switch distances in the next cycle. So actually, the event that I am not loving, and do enjoy, just not as much as the 200, is the 500, and that will be the event that will be raced at the Olympics now. So that's going to be interesting, and I'm gonna try and switch my mindset and convince myself to love it, because I definitely think I can, hopefully. Oh, the biggest highlight has definitely been probably being third at the World Cup in Russia. I got to race. It was prime time pandemic, like going over to Siberia, racing in like the middle of absolute nowhere, being terrified because COVID and everything, and just getting to race against the best girls in the world that could attend that competition, obviously. That was pretty amazing, and having the result that I had hoped for. Sometimes that doesn't always happen, as most athletes know. And just being like satisfied with the result, I think, was really nice. So yeah, that's definitely my best and happiest memory. And I pride myself with that one, just because it's been a really tough year with COVID, and having that result was definitely validating of all the hard work that I had done. My ultimate goal is definitely to be a world champion, to go to the Olympics. I want to be the best girl in the world. And it's funny because I don't say it enough, or as my psychologist would say. um, and it's good to just like say that out loud and be confident in that. And I know that it's going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication, and things are going to have to change, and I'm going to have to adapt, and I'm going to run into struggles like I have all year and everything. But I genuinely believe that I can do it. I always tell myself, I think I was born to do this. And yeah, that's just, yeah, that's me. My biggest inspiration is definitely probably Karen Furneaux. She's a Canadian world champion in the 200 meter specifically. Um, she's also my mentor, which is pretty cool. And so I get to chat with her and pick her brain about what I should do, what I shouldn't do, what's smart. Should I go to this camp? Should I do this for training? So that's been really nice to have her, and she's definitely a big inspiration to me, and she's still as fit as anything. So it's pretty inspiring. Out of paddling, probably, probably Andre DeGrasse. I think watching him at the Olympics was super inspiring, and even at at the World Championships, he's just so dominant, and he shows up and he beats adversity every single time, it seems like. So every time someone says he isn't fast enough, he just shows up and he's like, yes, I am. And it's definitely the mentality that I want to have moving forward in my sport. Yeah, that's a really good question. I have definitely had a struggle myself with it. I think that I grew up with muscle, and I definitely wasn't looked at, or boys didn't look at me like they looked at the other girls or whatever, right? So it's definitely an interesting topic, and I think once I started to gain muscle and realize how much I loved looking the way I did, it really helped me move forward. And I think even watching, like, I remember running into a CrossFit documentary with my brother in, I think it was 2017. And this is when I just started to really like gain muscle and get definition in my biceps and in my thighs or whatever. And I remember looking at Katrin David's daughter and just being like, wow, like that is just pure strength. And that is the type of female that I look up to. And even Tia Claire Toomey, like all those girls in CrossFit, it's honestly inspiring. And any sport, like just women who are strong and who are willing to put their bodies to places that no one else can go. I truly, I envy that, and I love that, because that's me and that's what I do. And so being competitive, being strong, being powerful, that's exactly what I try and do every single day. And having other women and females emphasize that as well on their Instagrams and everything, like I envy that. So hopefully I can spread the love and spread it around, because that's definitely what I want to do.